Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Merry Christmas. The 76ers are handing out gifts. It's not just your family. It's not just your parents, aunt, and uncles. It's the 76ers, too, because they dominated the Milwaukee Bucks. They gave this fan base a nice little present as they destroyed. I mean, they literally destroyed the Milwaukee Bucks at home, and I just find it interesting that Brett Brown dialed up a game plan to really piss off Giannis, who arguably is the best player in the league. He's up there, at least. I mean, the conversation can be had that he is up there with LeBron James, with Kawhi Leonard, right? So he's playing at that type of level. Brett Brown dials up a game plan, but he deserves no credit. But no, the players are the one that made all the shots. The players were the one that was defending. Well, that's not how this works. He doesn't only coach the losses. Brett Brown dialed up a really good game plan in this one, and that's why I get frustrated when fans destroy him and say he sucks and he's the worst coach in the world, because that's just not true. He might have flaws, he might not be the guy, right? But that doesn't mean he sucks and he's pathetic and he knows nothing, because in this one, he showed he knows something. I mean, to put Joel Embiid on him, to mix in Al Horford, to have Ben Simmons at times throw a look at him as well. I mean, he threw so many different looks at the guy, and it frustrated him. He did not knock down one three-pointer. He shot, 8 of 27? The Greek Freak was eliminated from this basketball game, and that's because of the Sixers' game plan heading into this one. Now, they also played with attitude and swagger and with intensity defensively, which is a huge piece to that, right? I mean, it's not just Brett Brown's game plan. If the players didn't execute, it wouldn't have looked so great. So you definitely credit the players. Players play, right? I say it all the time. Players play. They're the main reason why it worked, but strategically, Brett Brown dialed in a great scheme. There's so much to talk about when breaking this down. But before we do, we need to hear a word from my sponsor, SeatGeek. If you use the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page, you get $20 off of your total purchase. That goes towards parking. It goes towards food, beer. It's a no-brainer to use the promo code BROADS today. Now, this was the best win of the season. They looked so good. The crowd was electric. They were willing to compete. I mean, it's crazy what happens when this team is willing to compete. And that's why it's so frustrating, because we have seen big wins this season. And I've ran through the list so many times before, but it is a reality. This team has beaten the top teams in the East. They have now beaten the Bucks. They have beat Miami, Toronto, Boston, Indiana. They've beaten the top teams in the East. So it makes sense why we get frustrated when they lose and play down to their opponent and when they look like they don't want to play. Because we know that they can beat the top teams. But them beating these top teams, I mean, it's telling you something. They can compete. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't expect the Sixers to shoot lights out to this degree consistently. They will not shoot like this. They will not knock down 21 three-pointers like this consistently. It's nice to see, but it's not a reality. It's not what this team is. But you know what can happen every game? The defense. The defense was great. It was amazing. It was the reason why this team won. And it's funny because when the team struggled against the zone throughout the last few games, and when teams would throw a zone at them, the Mavericks and the Miami Heat, it was irritating. And it affected the way they played defensively. It affected their mindset on the other side of the floor. Well, this is the exact opposite. It's the same thing, but it's the exact opposite. Their defense was so electric and so dynamite that it affected their game offensively. They were confident. They were knocking down so many threes. It was really awesome to see the team play inspired. It shows me that I know when they are willing to do it, when they have the correct mindset, which should be every night, but realistically it's not. When they have the right mind, they absolutely can compete. They absolutely can compete. They just beat the best team in the East, and it's by a far stretch, too. I mean, there's a difference between the Milwaukee Bucks and the rest of the Eastern Conference. I've been through it. There is. That was huge. That was huge. Let's talk about the first half. They scored 69 points on that team. And by the way, they only allowed 48. What they did to piss their opponent off was unbelievable to watch. Now, Giannis did have a monster throwdown in the first, and it was pretty sick, and it was great in terms of entertaining dunks. I mean, it was great. It was a mean dunk. You see the mean mug afterwards. Controversial play on the other side to start that. Maybe there was a foul on Joel Embiid. Maybe there wasn't. I thought that would get Giannis going. I thought that would put him in that mode, but he was never able to get out of the funk. And you got to credit Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid was a legit beast. He had 23 points at half? When I take a look here, 23 points at half. He finished with 31 and 11. A lot of guys stepped up. For the most part, everyone pretty much stepped up. Tobias Harris knocking down 5 threes. I love me some Toby right now. I'm not going to lie. He's one of my favorites to watch. Because he is one of the guys that makes this team move. It's one of the guys that keeps the wheels spinning. We all talk about how we are only going to go as far as Ben and Joel take us, and that is absolutely the truth. But Tobias Harris is involved in that conversation as well, and I just love what he has developed into. I do. I love the role. I didn't know what he would be. I did not know what he would be with Jimmy Butler out of the picture and with him stepping in. What is his style? How is it going to work? What will he be like with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid on the floor as well? Because Ben is running downhill. He's facilitating. Joel's either in the post or he's popping threes. Like, where is Tobias Harris going to be in all of this during the game? And it has molded. Loved Tobias Harris. Loved Josh Richardson. He was huge in the first half. He was knocking down shots. Al Horford was knocking down threes. Furkan Korkmaz was knocking down threes. He broke the zone. I mean, they tried to go to a zone. The Bucks decided, let's test them. Let's test the Sixers. And he was able to knock down his shots. I could have went out there. If I had a Sixers jersey on that court in the Wells Fargo Center from 2:30 to 5, I probably would have been able to knock down any three-pointer I took because it was just that type of night for the Sixers. I'm not mad about it. Absolutely not. I'm not mad about it. Only 8 turnovers. 14 offensive boards. The team played as one. The team played like a unit. The team played like a legit squad that can compete. And I always dial that into the conversation of, well, that's why we're frustrated this season. That's why it's been annoying. Because I'll be honest with you. This team, we haven't seen them play like this. They've beaten the teams in the East that I discussed, but we haven't seen them play like this. Now, I also stated I don't expect them to play this way when it comes to shooting offensively because that's just not their identity. They are not this good of a shooting team. They don't shoot the ball this well from 3 for long periods of time, and I get that. So we haven't seen them play like this. And they don't really have to, though. They don't have to play to this degree. But it comes down to what they were like defensively. How they were clocked in to go into the office and battle. Ben Simmons, on the defensive side of the floor, it's poetry. It's beautiful. Now, I'm hard on Ben. I am so hard on Ben because I want to push him to the next level. I thought Ben was terrific. Terrific! He had 3 steals, 2 blocks, 15 points, 14 assists, and 7 rebounds. Yeah, he affected the game. Yeah, he was a difference maker. And I'm so critical on Ben. I really am. And I believe that there is value in that, and it makes sense to be. But for the trade Ben Simmons crowd, did you see that? Do you see how powerful it is to have a 6'10 point guard out there? The reason why the Bucks struggle is because of the length of the Sixers. It caused so many problems for them. They were forced with so many issues because they couldn't get around the size. The size of this core played a major role. Their intensity to defend, right? Their defensive intensity also played a factor. Put those two things together, yeah, the Greek Freak's going to struggle. Someone else had to step up. It was Chris Middleton. He knocked down some shots, but whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. If you stop the Greek Freak, you're going to put yourself in a great position to win. Now, what Ben Simmons did on that defensive side as a whole, wow. Diving on the floor, stealing balls out of inbounds. I mean, the team did it all. It wasn't just him. Other players, too. So many times I saw the Bucks nonchalantly pass it in, and there's someone right on the inbound to steal it. One of them was at the end of the half, too. It might have been Josh Richardson. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was. He ends up hitting Mike Scott, and Mike Scott loses it, but it could have been a big bang-bang play to really make the Wells Fargo Center explode. Mike Scott, I talked about how everyone really thrived in this game. There's just something going on with him. He is in a major funk as a whole. I'm reading his body language, right? And he looked down. I don't know what's going on with Mike Scott. It's not his best season. It's not the best start to his season. That's for damn sure. Now, I'm hoping a win like this will really build character with this team and get them on a nice roll, a big roll. If I'm Brett Brown, I'm telling them, listen, look what you guys did. Look how you guys battled. Look what you told the NBA and all the fans. You are legit. You can contend when you want to. The problem is we have to want to every single damn night. Stinkers are going to happen. You know, when you look at an NBA season and a team wins 55 to 60 games, do the math. They're going to lose basketball games. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm just worried about them wanting to do it. Don't look disengaged. Come out with that intensity every single game and, wow. The building was insane. So loud, so loud. How about this, though? There was a beat reporter for the Milwaukee Bucks tweeting about how the Sixers booed the starting lineup. Are you serious? Is that a big story to write in The Athletic? I'm not even joking. He was tweeting about how when the starting lineup comes out, you hear, sucks! After the name. So here's, Chris Middleton. Sucks! Okay. I mean, that's what you do. Here's Giannis. Sucks! Like, that makes us bad people? Typical Philadelphia. Like, what? No, typical sports fans. That is a very common thing to do. They always try and make Philadelphia this bad look. Oh, they boo people. They boo people. I'm sorry. Are you supposed to cheer for the opponent? Are you supposed to cheer for the other team? That's the part of home court advantage that's so special. It's a hostile environment for the other team. Are you supposed to clap around? Here's Giannis. Woohoo! Yeah! Kick our ass, please. I mean, it's a joke. Grow up. I don't get it. I don't understand. I couldn't believe my eyes when I said that. Yeah, poor players out there. I can't believe they have to sit through some boos and some sucks chants. Ridiculous. Now the fourth quarter wasn't pretty. It was ugly. It is a common theme with this team. It wasn't anything concerning, let's be real. It wasn't as if I was holding on to the edge of my seat and holding underneath thinking, oh, don't blow this. Like there wasn't enough time to really allow them to win this game. So give the Sixers credit. They led by 29 at one point. I mean, they absolutely controlled the game and dominated. They did. But it did get a little close in the fourth. I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned about it when it comes to this game as a whole. But there is a track record of this happening. And to think that down the road in other important games in the playoffs that this won't come up, it would be silly to just throw it away in the trash and say, well, they beat the Bucks, so who cares? For the moment, yeah, I'm not too worried about it for the moment. I was never afraid. But for the long-term part of it, there has to be some sort of, concern because it happens a lot. Other teams come in and they score 30-plus points in the fourth. The Sixers struggle to score points as a whole, as a team. And then leads get smaller and smaller and smaller. Give them credit for having such a big lead, and I'm sure mentally they decided to, I'm not going to say check out, but at some point they realized they got the W, while the Bucks didn't want to get embarrassed on Christmas Day on television, so they were fighting back to make it not look as bad and to show some sort of pride. They wanted to show pride. Don't let them blow us out. Just keep fighting, just keep fighting. Tobias Harris had a big-time three during those moments. There were two guys on him. They had the hands in his face, nothing but net, and he comes down giving the three-point celebration. Toby was phenomenal. Al Horford defensively phenomenal. He knocked down 3 threes. I mean, the team was looking like the Golden State Warriors in their prime. Not this year's Golden State Warriors. Not this year's. But the years of dominance they did. My takeaway is you see it. You see it. When they play good teams, they are showing up. They are playing at a high level. They have taken down all of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. That can't get unnoticed. I mean, that's something you need to realize has happened this season. They won against every single opponent that matters in the Eastern Conference to this point. This game's at home. If you played in Milwaukee, is it totally different based off the environment? Absolutely. I mean, it would be silly to think it wouldn't be. And that's why home court advantage is very important. And that's why taking off some of these regular season games emotionally, physically, mentally bothers us, because I think we know that. I think it's a big difference. This team at home plays a different game than on the road. But they can play. They can show up. And credit to Brett Brown. You have to. I mean, you just flat out have to. I was told by a lot of fans that he doesn't know a damn thing about the sport of basketball. Well, did he not outcoach the opponent today? Did he not outcoach the Bucks head coach, who has a lot of praise in this league for what he's doing with this team? Oh, he absolutely did. Now, I don't overreact to one game in long-term stuff, right? So because Brett Brown has a good game in this one, it doesn't mean he's the greatest coach in the world. Just because Furkan Korkmaz knocks down some threes in some games doesn't mean he's the best three-point shooter in the world. Just because Ben has a triple-double one night doesn't mean that his jump shot won't affect this team. You know what I'm saying, okay? But in this game, which is the one I am talking about right now, in this game, Brett Brown showed up. He put together a great scheme to take out one of the best players in the league. He looked awful. He looked lost. It was as if he didn't really know what to do at times. He couldn't knock down any three. So, he did a good job. But it's not an easy task. I mean, there's a million other coaches in this league that didn't find a way to do that. They haven't figured out a way to stop him at all. He hasn't had this type of night in this league this season. 8 of 27? That's bad. That's bad. And he got some calls in his favor big time, specifically on Joel Embiid. They were brutal. I mean, he has this big push-off and then ends up making a layup. I mean, he could do whatever he wanted going to the paint. He gets fouled. He gets all the foul calls. It's the James Harden effect, where James Harden's dribbling the lane, pops his head back. What a joke. I'll end it on this. When it comes to the Sixers, I thought it was a really good game by them. Their best game of the season, without a doubt. They showed up on Christmas Day, national TV, everyone's watching them. They blew out the best team in the East, and you can see how effective their length can be, their size can be, and their defense. Their defense was the reason why this offense shot the ball the way that it did. Because of the intensity, because of the confidence the defensive game drove. Their defensive game inspired their offensive game. We've seen it work in the opposite way. over the last couple games. It's a real thing. I'll end it with that when it comes to the Sixers. Very proud. Joel, Ben, Tobias, Al Horford, Josh Richardson, they all stepped up. Brett Brown, they stepped up. One thing I noticed on social media as well was I saw a big discussion about how the NBA should not have any games on Christmas because all these people who work in the arena and all these people who work around sports, they are not allowed to be with their family due to this event. And I understand where they are coming from because you're right. This is the family time. They should be with their family. But I will also counter it by saying this. The holidays are surrounded by sports. Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's important to have sports on the TV. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for the world. There's no shot in hell am I taking away the NBA on Christmas Day. You're right, they do, and maybe they get paid double time, triple time. There is definitely ways to get around this, all right? It's not as if these people are just working for $5.50 an hour trying to make a living. They are totally getting paid bonus time for working these holidays. It makes sense. You want everyone to be with their family, but I'm not taking away sports on a day of a holiday because that's what people around the world, they gather around, they watch their team. They gather around, they watch sports as a whole. It's just what holidays are all about. Getting together with their family, sports on the TV, having some cold beers, and that's what it is. So I just thought that was an interesting discussion, but you have to have sports on holidays. I'm sorry, that's how it works in my eyes. Sixers have a back-to-back coming up. The Orlando Magic Markelle Fultz. The Markelle Fultz revenge game again. In Miami. So let's see what this Sixers team's made of. Are they going to build off of this big-time W, or are they going to go back to their frustrating ways and lose some games and then battle against some good teams and lose some games and look inconsistent but still have a good record? What are they going to do? Where are they going to go from here? We were told Christmas is going to be the time where you start to see what this team is really made of. You're going to see what this team is going to be like. You saw Trey Burke in the mix once again over Raul Neto. Was that a big sign from Brett Brown saying he's going to go with him over Neto for the future? So much to look into with this team. So much to watch when it comes to this squad coming up in the next few days, and that's always fantastic. So, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. I hope you enjoyed that gift by the 76ers as much as I did. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.